Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, you know him, it's Mr. Positivity Taylor.
Yeah, good evening everybody, welcome one and all.
Welcome back to another week.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, another fast week.
Oh, it's getting into height of spring.
Yes.
Spring is in the air. The buds are on the trees.
They are indeed.
Bees are buzzing.
Yes,
it's nice.
thankfully.
It's been good. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for another episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll be joined tonight by a special guest.
We will.
He's we'll tell you a bit about him. He's a ghost hunter. He's crossed people over in the past, crossed over souls.
Yes.
He's an author, and he's a positive guy.
Definitely.
He kind of he's got a thing about clearing head space, head trash.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which is always good.
Really interesting. We'll be talking to Sam, the Miracle Man.
Oh, what a miracle, man.
Shelley, a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really cool. Really nice guy. But before we get into that, what have you been up to this week, Mr. Taylor?
Me, just not really a lot much, really. Just like basically just carrying on my research.
Nice week.
This, yeah. You know what I mean, I've been resting here and now. I actually had a couple of days where I thought, you know what, I don't need to get up.
Lazy bastard.
I think I went in a little bit of a depressive.
A duvet day. You're all right?
Yeah. I've got it under control.
Oh, if you ever needed to chat.
Oh, yeah, I'm right.
Don't worry. Yeah. We all have them days, mate.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I cheered myself up and boom.
If any of you guys, obviously, you know, we fancy a chat. If you're having a duvet day or a down day, just give us a holler.
Yeah.
We'll cheer you up.
We'll be always happy.
It's all good. We're all available on the social.
You've been up to?
Quite a bit this week.
All right.
Well, Call of Duty, there was like new season.
If you could get on there.
Oh, what a pain in the ass that was!
Yeah.
So basically, it was advertised as like the destruction of this sort of map or playing area, and they were going to do all this grand stuff, and but it was nobody could get on it.
No,
I heard that there was high-level streamers who were going in for a competition with like 10 grand, on stake, and
cancelled everywhere.
They had to cancel it because nobody could bloody get on the server.
Well, why would you do it on the bloody first day unless it's been properly tested? Obviously, there's.
Oh yeah, well you can kind of blame them because you can kind of see it coming, can't you? You know it's going to happen.
And everyone wants to get on it at the same time, so there you got another issue there.
So still not really got to play that properly.
No.
And so I'm sure
you were a bit disappointed as well, weren't you, about how the destruction of the place?
Yeah, because they basically didn't destroy anything. I mean, unless something's coming in the future, I don't know. But
it might be, you know.
They said they were going to destroy it, and then went and went back in time to a point when it wouldn't have been destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just blagged me.
New, really built.
Anyway, other than that. It's been, again, lovely weather, so I've been on a few nice walks. Seeing a lot of graffiti on the canals and stuff, which has got me back into graffiti. Been watching some great people on YouTube. Schmo. He's a German artist. Definitely worth checking his work out, honestly.
Right out.
So, do you know what? He's very kind of... informative with his videos as well, because there's a lot of graffiti artists who just set up a time-lapse camera and it's all like done and you just watch him time-lapse and but this guy, he kind of like gives you pointers and walks through what he's doing and gets commissions and explains it. So I've kind of like that it's got a blog element to his and then you see some finished work as well. So been getting into that but in talking about art and stuff, our new merch design,
yes, it is. It's out there.
Is available now.
Oh, yes.
Thank you to the fantastic artist Ross Cooker who came up with the design. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. If you haven't checked his work out, I'm leaving links to his account everywhere, but I'll drop a link in the description. Make sure you support him. He's a great artist. But like I say, the merch is available now on TeePublic and Dizzy Jam.
Just get your hands in your pockets.
So It helps us.
It does.
Massively. And obviously, you know, we have Patreon, we have Buy Me Coffee, ways of supporting us. Yeah. But getting a bit of something that's a bit, you know, physical,
something for your money,
buying something for your money is a good thing as well. So we want to try and bring you the best we can.
Best and quality that we can provide.
So, you know, Ross has done us a great job on doing us a great design. So links are in the description. You can get available mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts, all sorts of stuff. No, I don't. We didn't go with the caps.
Did we go with the caps?
Fridge magnets, stickers, buttons,
face
masks. Stuff. Yeah, all available. Links in the description. It's great design. Thank you so much.
Yes. Nice one.
Oh, God. Well, as I say, we are on Patreon as well. If you'd like to show us the support, get over to Patreon/NeverAStraightanswer or buy me a coffee /NASAPod.
Or even if you can't do that, just support us by
hitting that like, subscribing.
Subscribe for us.
It's all good. All helps.
Yeah.
So, if you've got any comments as well, you want to get involved, you know what to do. NeverAStraightanswer@gmail.com or hit us up at the website NeverAStraightanswer.co.uk.
Go and have a chat.
So, this week, like I say, we've got a lot coming up in the show.
We have.
We've got our guest. We've got some news. But before that, we've got Chain Connections.
Yes, we have.
Now, everyone wins this week.
Yes, it was
everyone
quite an easy
wins.
One, wasn't it?
It was a bit of an easy one. Yeah, right. I think the last clue definitely give it away. And all answers. And normally I'd go with the first answer, but everybody got it right. Well, I wasn't sure at first because I kept getting your mum.
My mum.
Not just the answer, your mum. And I was like, well, is that the answer to Chain Connections, or are people just being very abusive towards me?
Well, yeah, you can't tell these days.
So rather than, you know, like get on anyone's bad side, I'm going to say everyone's a winner.
Yeah, I think
so. Everyone's a winner, and you know what that means. You all get a... Yeah, so your mummy.
Yeah.
It was.
Your mummy.
Yeah, mummy.
Mummy.
If
Which
you got
can be
Egyptian.
male, not just female. Male mummies.
Mummified.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, you know, never mind. Have you got some more clues for us this week?
I have.
Is it harder? Is it a toughie?
Well, it depends. It's not as easy as last week. I guarantee that one.
Oh God, it's not as easy as last week.
Yeah,
so,
but I don't think it's that hard either. If you think about it, you'll get it in the end.
Hit me.
Hit ya. Okay. The first one is big clothes, big bones,
big feet, big meat.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Second one is 2 lines of teeth. These are supposed to have 2 lines of teeth.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. I hope people have been listening. And the third one is they could have been here before humans.
Dinosaurs. I don't know.
Could be. What could have been in between?
I don't know. Well, if you think you know what Mr. Taylor's talking about and you think you can make a connection, then, you know, hit us up.
Yeah.
Right or wrong answers, we're all good. We're happy to receive.
Yes, we are.
And, you know, we could be mentioning you and giving you a shout-out as our next week's Smarty Pants of the Week.
Yeah. You might even get it by accident.
Get it by accident. I just want to hear people's, you know, ways of thinking, really. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, there you go. We had a bunch more clues delivered by Mr. Taylor.
We did.
So, you know, give us your answers. You can hit us up on Twitter for that, or Instagram, or wherever you want. Email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com.
And we'll be there.
Get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved, pickle.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Bring the public together.
So, anyway, a little bit of an advert. Normally, we'd give you an advert, Audible or something like that. But this week's episode is brought to you in part by our merch.
Yes, it
our
is.
own merch. We've just mentioned it, but we're going to mention it again. You know what to do. Go over to TeePublic or the website or the Facebook shop. There's plenty of ways to get it. But again, we'll leave a link in the description. This design is going to be only available for a limited time, so make sure you get it while you can.
Yeah.
But who knows what's next?
Well, that is true. Well, I think I know what's next.
Do you? Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to brainstorming that one with you.
Oh, yes.
So, yes. Well, Well, tonight we're joined on the Never a Straight Answer podcast with a special guest. He's a ghost hunter who crosses over lost souls. He's an author and pioneer in positive thinking and clearing head trash. Welcome to the show, Sam the Miracle Man, Shelley.
Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Taylor.
No
Good
worries.
to finally meet you.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. So you seem like an absolute positive guy in your videos on YouTube and in interviews and stuff like that.
Even off your emails, I sort of get that vibe out of you.
I mean, your website seems to be kind of aimed in those directions as well. I mean, where? Let me start again. Sam, where did the Miracle Man come from? It's a bit of a title, that.
Yeah, so where it came from was after I healed myself of the multiple sclerosis, bipolar, the migraines, the psoriasis, the arthritis. People were like, well, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? So I was like, okay, I guess I should write a book about this. So I wrote a book about it, sold it on Amazon. I actually had a publisher at that time, so it was a traditional book contract. But one of the book reviewers on Amazon called me the Miracle Man.
Ah,
and
right, okay.
And that has stuck.
I was going to say, because, I mean, it almost conjures up, especially when you say that you cured yourself, it's almost like those, miracle healers you see, doing the rounds and kind of they get people up on stage and cure them of their ills. But you're saying that you did that to yourself.
And they're not soft elements either. They're high on the list of medical.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is it, isn't it? These are kind of real, inflictions that you need, medical attention over. Yeah. I mean, what was it that made you start to think, I need to take this on myself and try and, cure myself? Or what was it, a case of that you felt that you could?
No, the thing is, I was never focused on healing. From the multiple sclerosis, I lost the ability to walk at age 37, and I'm fine today. I can even juggle today. My coordination's all back. Wow. So, all my issues began when at the age 6 when I was run over by a van, and that caused the head trauma, the broken bones. So it all stemmed from there. Whoa. So it was never about, like being bipolar, dealing with the psoriasis, dealing with all the autoimmune disease like MS. So it was never about healing myself, because I tell people the first rule to healing is you don't talk about healing. You don't think about healing, because the mind throws up all sorts of roadblocks, head trash, as like, oh, you can't do this. And then you'll tell other people, I'm going to heal myself, and they're going to project their head trash onto you. So you never discuss healing. It just creates this block. So you don't want to talk about that. So the way it came about for me was, and this goes back to the ghost hunting story that I'll share sometime, was basically I read about meditation one day. Meditation, one of the benefits of meditation was inner peace. I'm like, I need that. So I was focused on peace, and peace created my transformation.
I think that's a good way, a good place to start with anything. In any sort of stress or sort of problem that you're facing, that to try and settle down, find a bit of peace, and I don't think people in these situations do think rationally a lot of the time. It's only when you kind of take that step back and find that peace that you start thinking a bit more clearly and trying to get a handle on any given situation. Would you say that was right, or?
Yeah, because at that point in my life, with 5 diseases, taking all this medicine, cane, everything, I was really stressed out, overwhelmed with life, always wondering what else is going to go wrong. One thing I did not have was peace. I was really in a state of panic and anxiety and worry and stress the whole time. So when I read about meditation, it brings inner peace, I'm like, I need that.
Can I ask, are you religious?
No, I wouldn't say I'm particularly religious. If there's anything with religion that I see, it's basically the message of, if you want to go religious, it'll be the message of Jesus. His 2 commandments were, love God with all your might, but I see God is within us. Yeah. Then love your neighbor as yourself. Those 2 teachings, it's all about love and peace, and not all this battle and wars and all this. It's just about accepting one another, and we simply don't have that in this society.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, there was a fundamental sort of lesson I was taught. I mean, treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself. I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, in terms of like finding something that finding meditation and finding spirituality, how did that change things?
Yeah, so it really changed things for me because I saw. If we want to get into the head trash is all this anxiety, stress, worry, panic attacks, all this stuff up in the head that's creating limitations. So when it came to me, when I discovered meditation, after about 2 weeks, and people just think I didn't have a really long meditation practice. So if you told me I had to sit a certain way, hold my hands a certain way, breathe a certain way, that was not the meditation for me.
So you kind of crafted your own sort of style.
Let your own body out and your own feelings. And
to me, it was just a relaxation process.
Yeah,
just sit in a chair, comfortable, close my eyes for 5 minutes a day. That's how I began. 5 minutes a day. But then I realized, first I was in the impression that meditation means you stop thinking. And then I discovered, it's not that. It's stop thinking, because I was always saying, stop thinking. So it was a thought chasing a thought. Then I realized, in about 2 weeks into meditation, it's like, wait a second, I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. If I'm not my thoughts, who am I?
Ooh, that's a bit of a kind of like
well,
it's a play on the I think therefore I am, but in a reversal, if you like. Yeah. So it's like, well, you do have thoughts, which are obviously electrical impulses and signals to the brain, but are you your thoughts? Are you? I mean, because you can argue that you do, on a day to day, you have a conflicting sort of what your head tells you to what your gut tells you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right. I mean, where'd you go with? I mean, at the end of the day, I was actually having a conversation with Taylor about this and saying, if I was to fall on hard times and need. I found myself desperate, and then I had rent to pay and kids to feed, and I found myself in a position where, I was pulling a gun on a petrol station, clerk, and it's the case of your head's telling you, you need to do this, these are the reasons, but your gut would tell you this is wrong, you can't do this, there's going to be consequences, And
is it worth it?
So you were right in that sense. Is like sometimes what your head's telling you is logical, but isn't always the right path.
Right. That's what I said. This mind is always guessing what is the right way. Why the heart simply knows the right way. It just simply knows. It's that gut reaction, like, I need to go do this way. Then your mind comes along and say, no, that way's not going to work out. And you try it a different way. Then you're like, why did I do it this way? The first way would have been the best way.
Yeah.
So we all had these experiences, like we had this gut reaction, like I need to go do it this way. Then your mind says, like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's going to create more work, more problems, more issues. But yet the mind is actually creating all the more problems, because if you listen to yourself, you've been done a lot quicker.
Yeah, because I'm actually fighting in my head at the minute over I want to set up a kind of business, and my head is going in one way, but then it keeps directing me to other different things quickly, and it's like, no, keep my concentration on that, and it's not. It's letting me go.
Maybe that's a
all
sign,
over the
that,
place.
Bro. Could be sign.
Could be.
Right.
Could be.
So
yeah. So there's something I liked recently. I heard what David Icke was saying recently, and I thought was pretty good. Is like you tell people that you're thinking. He said he points to your head, but they said if I know, they're pointing to their heart. So I'm thinking about they're pointing to the head, but if I know, it's the deeper place.
Yeah.
So do you think that's like a body language thing, whereas like, or they do it unconsciously? So in terms of it's almost like a bit of a lie detector, isn't it? Not in that sense, but like in the body language, a tell, if you like, where the pointing to the head as if to say,
yeah, and it's an automatic.
Whereas if you point to your heart, it's more like you kind of, I can trust you a little bit more because you've actually, this is coming from somewhere else rather than just electrical thoughts and impulses.
I've got to ask I'll ask both of you this question actually. Out of the three of them, your head, your brain, and your heart, and your gut, which one would you take over all of them?
I would say it was gut feeling is primitive. I'd say personally, I'd say your gut feeling goes back to your survival instincts. You know, those times in history when we had to fight for survival, protecting,
fight or flight, innit?
Or protecting our village or whatever the situation was. Your gut feeling is usually a right feeling. I always find. I mean, what would you say in that respect, Sam?
Yeah, what I would say is the gut feelings and the heart are the one and the same. It's your heart is your spirit, your consciousness. That's where that wisdom is coming from. So you can see that it's coming from your gut or your heart, but it's all coming from spirit, from soul, from that consciousness within us.
Well, that's funny, Dad, because I was going to say as well, scientists actually believe that you've got two brains. You've got one in your head, and your second brain is actually gut, because it's actually apart from your brain, but it actually works on its own system, its own ecosystem.
Right.
So
in a funny way, that's a funny way from your heart to your gut. So your head is actually to your, and there's
a connection there.
Yeah, there's good connections there.
So when you were saying earlier about how you've basically found meditation, you've basically come up with your own way of doing it. You've not kind of followed any sort of like teachings. You've kind of thought, right, well, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to, settle my mind. And so you've come to the conclusion that just because you're thinking about things, it doesn't define you. Is that correct?
Right, because when you start identifying like my body, my this, my that, then it starts to become a trigger. You just really become attached to that, and to realize that with this body is very temporary. Like, look at all the photos over your lifetime. Like, you don't have this 5-year-old body anymore. You don't have this 15-year-old body anymore. If you're not these bodies, then who are you? If you don't have this body, then who are you?
Well, this is the thing. Do you not find that as well, though? You don't feel any different within yourself, like, because this is what you hear this from the like old timers a lot. Yes. I still feel 18,
Totally.
And I do believe that, because like obviously your soul, if that genuinely exists, I'd consider it to be a lot more infinite than your physical presence as well. So like you were saying there, your body's just like a vessel, if you like, but you've got this. I always feel like your soul feels a lot younger than your physical self, if you like. Yeah. So,
Yeah, absolutely, because the soul is timeless, so it was never born and never dies. It just is. It always was here. And there's only one consciousness, if you will, one consciousness. Yeah. And we're all different forms in this consciousness. So we're all the one expression. So that's why we can tap into, people that were here before, because their spirit is still here. And things of that nature, that's the consciousness is still here. Like, I'm connected
to residence.
I'm connected to Gaz in ways I can't explain. Connected to Taylor in ways I can't explain at this deeper level.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, I do believe in connections and deep spiritual connections where you don't know why, but you just feel like you're supposed to know this person, or you're supposed to kind of have this connection. But it's one of those where it's like when you think of spirits existing past human life, I suppose, or like the physical world. What's the answer there? I mean, where are these spirits dwelling? I mean, is it a case that there's some that are just trapped here, or is it a case that they choose to be here, or they've just had problems, unfinished business, and they've not had a chance to cross over?
Yeah, they just haven't crossed over, and I'm really curious about that too. Is why do some souls to stay on the earth plane, if you will? Why are they here still? And I really don't know why. Maybe they feel some guilt, some remorse, or they died tragically and they don't even realize that they lost their body. So that's the cases I've seen. I've crossed over somebody that wasn't an accident. They didn't realize they died, and Yeah, then I crossed over a doctor that felt guilty about, the treatment of his patients.
So, I'd love to hear about that because, I mean, this seems like firstly, you say you're into ghost hunting. How did you get into that?
Well, you have to go back to my multiple sclerosis days. When I was dealing with the MS, you realize I lost the ability to walk. I had to use a cane. So it pretty much was like a couch potato. I just hung out and watched a lot of TV. So like I came from a corporate world, so things were like black and white. There was nothing really out there. So when I saw this ghost hunting thing, it's like, oh, this is interesting, but this is TV. So I don't know if it's real or not. Well, it's entertaining at least.
Yeah.
So I was watching that and I was like, but then I saw a tweet from one of the ghost hunters, Chris Williams. She said, hey, we're having this event in Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia. I was like, oh, I can probably go. I can probably get a hotel room nearby. Because with MS, I had like lots of chronic fatigue and all sorts of issues.
Yeah, so traveling was like a bit more stressful than an average person traveling or going to an event like this.
Yeah, it was about an hour away, and it was an adventure for me to drive an hour. So I got a hotel nearby. I figured I'd probably be good for the event for about an hour and a half, because I had to wear cooling packs, because if I got too hot, the body would shut down.
Oh, right.
So I had to wear cooling packs. So it was really ordeal for me to go. I had to get my cane, all my medicine, cooling pack. I even had a freezer in my car so I can keep my cooling packs cool. So I had that. So I had all this set up. So I got to so I saw this tweet from Chris Williams. So I went to this ghost hunt in Fort Mifflin. So I got to the event and I was like, all right, well, I did my research, like which seems to be the most active areas. Because I could figure I'm only here for about an hour, maybe an hour, a little more than an hour. So, okay, the place most active that I'm seeing on all these shows and stuff is the casemates. That's where they housed the ammunition during the Revolutionary War. That's where they used it as a prison during the Civil War here in the States. So that was like the really...
Yeah, so it's got a lot of tragic history behind that area specifically.
Yeah, so I got to the casemates. So at this point, you got to realize, as the corporate guy, didn't know if this was real or not, but we're going to go check it out.
Yeah, because I suppose you go in there with a bit of skepticism, but also kind of like intrigued. You're intrigued by the whole thing. But I mean, this is how I'd be. I'd love to go on one of these ghost excursion events, sort of things. But I'd be partially skeptical because if I was there with other people, I'd be thinking, are they kind of, it's like we were talking about the Ouija boards, weren't we, a couple last week? And, when you're young, people, you play with, or you do these things with, like, friends, and you're always a bit kind of like, who's pushing this? There's always a bit of skepticism behind it. So, did you go in there, like you say, you were pretty corporate, so was it kind of 50-50?
It was like 50-50. I wasn't sure what to expect because I only saw ghost hunting on TV. And to me, TV can be scripted. So I didn't know it was real or fake or anything. So when we first got into the casemates, we sort of got settled in. They had like these old benches that used to be beds and stuff. So I just sat down on one of those old benches. And they said, we're going to start with an EVP session, which I was like, why are they doing an EVP? Because it was right next to the airport and it was like really noisy and stuff. So they did that for like 15 minutes or so. And to me, I was just sitting there bored out of my mind. Like there's nothing happening. There's nothing going on. Then somebody that was attending put out a flashlight, one of those twist flashlights. They put out the flashlight like about 10 feet away from them. And they started turning this flashlight on. And 10 seconds went by and the flashlight came on. And they said, turn this flashlight off. And the flashlight went off. So they were doing this for about a minute or two, and it's like, that's really interesting, but that's not my flashlight. So I put out my flashlight, and it did the same thing.
So there was like a gap between you switching it on and it actually physically coming on.
Yeah, so the flashlight was still going on and off by command like their flashlight was, because I know it was my flashlight. It wasn't fiddled with. It wasn't messed with. It was my flashlight. Then right after that experience, because like I said, it was sitting on this old bench, it felt like somebody sat next to me. I could not see.
Okay.
So like an energy.
Sensation.
Yeah, it felt like a sensation that somebody sat next to me. Then I just felt this overwhelming sense of dread when they sat down next to me.
Ah.
So it's like, well, that was really interesting. So then the time of the casemates was over. So I had that experience. We went to into the office building, like the colonel's headquarters or whatever that building was called. We went there next. And I was there for like 10, 15 minutes. Nothing was happening. It was very boring. My packs were starting to melt. And I was like, well, I need to get out of here. So I just left. But I was really curious after that. It's like, all right, what did I experience? What is this ghost thing? What is this? But at the time, my vision wasn't great. Like I couldn't read for more like 10, 15 minutes, or would get these super bad migraines. So eventually, like, all right, who knows best about ghosts? Who's like the authority on this? And at that time, I think I was watching the show Medium. So I was like, Medium. Okay.
Why not?
Why not? And Alison Dubois has some books. So I started to read some of her books, and I forget who else I was reading. But eventually I found one book that talked about meditation and how they'd use meditation to get into that space, if you will.
Right.
But they talked briefly about meditation for like 2-3 pages, no more than that. It was like one page and you flipped it over and that was about it. But they talked about the benefits of meditation, like inner peace. Like the one benefit jumped out at me was like inner peace, and like, oh, I need that.
So this is where this came about. So in terms of ghost hunting saving your life, it was a case of that it was something that you kind of, if you wouldn't have gone to that experience that day, and I know you're saying it was a difficult sort of thing to do, getting this whole kit together to go just to spend a couple of hours elsewhere from your home, and if you wouldn't have done that, then you wouldn't have discovered this enlightenment, if you like, that's kind of changed your life.
Right. I never had that experience. I was still be in that corporate world. I'd probably be dead by now because I was so sick. And it was 10 years ago, and my health was declining.
So only 10 years ago.
So what were the doctors saying about this as you were making this recovery?
Well, my doctors could not explain me. So the doctors couldn't explain me. Last time I saw my neurologist for MS, he's like, well, your scans are clear. Your blood work is better than mine. He questioned me for 45 minutes trying to quantify what I did.
Yeah.
He had no answer. When I saw a doctor out in San Francisco at a conference that I went to, he's a pretty famous doctor that's in that circuit, Dr. Gabor Mate. He asked me some questions, and he just paused for a second. He's like, oh, you stopped believing your mind.
Okay.
So he did it before.
You see, no, he's got a very interesting point here, right? Because I've always said this about, for instance, cancer patients, right? So you're fine 1 minute, and then you're diagnosed, right? And it always seems that people deteriorate significantly after the diagnose with illnesses. And I always think, is that the stress of it? Is it your mind and how you're dealing with it? And is it actually increasing it and sort of speeding things up? Because it can't be good for you in terms of the knowledge. I mean, they say ignorance is bliss, don't they? And I mean, in some respects, yeah, and I agree with that. But in medical sense, you need to kind of, your own body and when there's something wrong. But it always does seem that once you've had that been diagnosed by a doctor, that there is a very quick deterioration. And I do kind of think that is something to do with the mind and how you handle it, if you like. And
sort of like the placebo effect.
Well, maybe.
Kind of thing. You believe in.
Well, maybe
that
it's just the whole pressure and the stress of everything that's kind of like, and the realization that it is happening, then does it kind of, exacerbate things? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a medical doctor. I wouldn't claim to say.
Stress would, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I'd say stress, definitely.
I can say in my own experience. So, like when I was diagnosed with either bipolar, MS, whatever the ailment was, I was always reading everything I can about that and the side effects of the medication. So it was always like, what else is going to go wrong?
Yeah. And
I was creating my own self-fulfilling reality, if you will, more I was studying, because it was like my MS, my this. I was very, very attached to that. And so That's one of the things I recommend for people that are newly diagnosed for MS. Don't read. Don't join support groups. Just don't try to attach to those things, because that doesn't have to be your reality. I mean, I lost the ability to walk at age 37. I'm fine now because I let go of all these stories, all this stress, all this head trash. And it's a known thing, that stress is poisoning us. It really creates a toxic inner environment where we're completely stressed out.
Yeah.
You can't think straight when you're stressed out.
Oh no, I feel a totally different person when I'm having stressy days, and it's like, and I think most people would agree, they'd say that it is toxic. It poisons your sort of your soul, if you like, in terms of like being a happy person. Even just being a person who gets up and is a motivated person, but it chips that away at you, these sort of stresses and depressions. So,
Yeah.
So you feel perfectly fine now?
Yeah, I've been healthy now for 9 years, going on 10, without medicine, without cane, with nothing.
That's amazing.
It's remarkable, mate. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking,
to be called the Miracle Man, I can see why now. So, you've been kind of. So I assume that you carried on ghost hunting after this sort of. After you started, you made this realization that, it's helped you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's like I really don't do any really, per se, formal ghost haunting. I've gone to like a haunted B&B before and try to poke around and see what happens. I had some interesting experiences with orbs interacting with me. That was kind of interesting.
Okay.
And plus at this other B&B that I went to that was supposedly haunted, I had a door shut that had no explanation.
So where's the crossing over? I mean, how did you? So I'm a bit curious. So you said that obviously the getting sorry, I can't even speak. Your recovery was tremendous and miraculous in itself, but you say that you started kind of feeling a bit more kind of spiritual and having gifts, I suppose, if you could put it that way. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I said, we all have these spiritual gifts because we are this spiritual being, and we just completely identify with this human form, this human body, this human condition. But once we let go of the head trash, these stories, this identity, the ego, then everyone just opens up to these gifts. The really skilled mediums and psychics they just want more practice. They just practice more about, because when you're dealing with the spirit world, they give you these images and pictures, and you're trying to put it together, and people that are more practiced can put that story together. Oh, they're trying to communicate this with me. They're trying to communicate this.
Yeah.
I mean, the best experience I had with a medium was Thomas John here in New York City. He actually did this show in New York City, and during the middle of the show, he just stops and does readings with the audience. And he pulled some things out of my family life. There's no way he could have known. From my father, my distant great uncle, he just pulled this stuff out.
Yeah, so it's not even like observational stuff that he could have just picked up just generally. He's gone deep and give you information that isn't widely available.
You haven't advertised any of it.
Right, because one of the things I was doing that he picked up was I was just trying to, can I use an object from my great uncle to communicate with my great uncle? So I was actually sitting with his watch, and he's like, what's this watch I'm seeing?
Oh, right. So it was kind of like it was able to kind of identify that this was not only an old watch, but it belonged to your uncle.
Right, and he was able to pick up, like, what's this watch I'm seeing associated with the war? And he just really went on to the whole story about my uncle. Then there's a really distinct picture of my father, who's since passed, where one of his last birthdays, he had this huge sundae in front of him. There's like no way he would have known this information. So it was really, he's like, but we all have these abilities. He's just very practiced at it, of how to interpret all these.
Well, that's it. It's interpretation of what you've been told to what you actually believe to what you see.
Well,
right, because I saw another medium in New York City. I went to one of his events. He was getting images, but he didn't have the practice, didn't have their interpretation. He would see things, but he didn't know how to put them together.
Yeah.
I think that's it is funny, isn't it? Because it was like, how do we know we're not all getting these signs and signals? It's just that we're not very good at reading them and taking them on and basically deciphering what they mean, I suppose, surely. But I think these people who are very more in tune with how the world works and the very kind of skilled at being able to deduce and read and
I think the innocence of kids is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
innocence of kids do actually have that kind of ability, and we seem to lose it, and we seem to get lose being a child.
I think we just get kind of caught up in the world and society, how it is, and it's like I was saying to you the other day about how dreams, I find sometimes I don't, quite a lot of my time I don't remember my dreams, but I think majority of the time is that I'm waking up in such I've got to go up and get up and do this, that I don't have
something
time.
Else on your mind.
I don't have time to think about these things, and I think this is it. It's like we're not blind to it; we're just not paying attention close enough.
Totally,
Yeah, because we're always getting signs and symbols around us, and we're just not putting the pictures together. Maybe if you lost like an aunt, uncle, but maybe they had their favorite song, and then suddenly their favorite song's playing on the radio that you'd never hear, but you're just too busy. You're not paying attention to if I listen to their...
It's really prominent.
Totally.
So how did you get into kind of the crossing over part of your story? Because that intrigued me, because I mean, like you said earlier that you've had a few kind of ghost experiences. So especially with the one in your first encounter where you said you felt this sort of presence sat beside you, is that the only sort of I mean, have you kind of come across any physical manifestations of ghosts?
Can I just throw an extra bit on that? Do you get a different sense of feeling of spirits now to where you was beforehand, where you wasn't looking into this kind of stuff, to all the stuff you've been through,
like is it
to get where you are now?
Once you switch it on, you can't sort of switch it off.
And there's a different penetration.
Yeah, there's an ability to switch it off, saying so you don't really, because otherwise if you're always on, especially in New York City, it would be so overwhelming if you were always on. So, but at that time, during Fort Mifflin, it was just an experience. This there's somebody sitting next to me. Just add it more to the mystery. What did I experience here? But now, if I feel a presence, now I can tune into them and have a discussion with them.
Really? So you can actually you can physically communicate.
Right. If they're really here, they're not like a residual energy. I've run into experiences too where it's like a residual energy, sort of like a movie playing over and over and over again. The one experience I had with that was in some small town in Pennsylvania. I was doing that's what I used to do. Before COVID, I could do house calls. I went over to somebody that was having some kind of issues, like relationship issues or something. So I was just sitting there, and then across the way, I saw like in a dining room, I was like, what's the history of this place? It's not very good. It wasn't a very good history. I saw this husband swiping his wife down, like whacking her.
Oh, wow.
Just like over and over again, just the husband whacking the wife.
Oh, my days.
Then I heard the story was, their fights were legendary.
So they were known.
Were constantly, like she would kick him out of the house. She would throw dishes at him and all sorts of things. Like they had a really volatile relationship. So now in this living room, and then this dining room, now they're just replaying this scene where the energy is just stuck there. It's just residual. They're not there. It's just like us.
I suppose in traumatic experiences as well, that when emotions are heightened, that energy could potentially,
stay in that area.
Stay longer, like you say, be more residual in terms of.
So like cracking a time hole or like a wormhole kind of thing. Like if you were to do that kind of thing in space, tear something in space, but in a reality where we can't perceive it apart from when we get that feeling of, there's something there and you actually see, the object that you're seeing.
Right, the building itself that was holding that energy, like the spirits weren't there. It was just the place was just holding that and keep re-looping it.
Yeah.
Why do you think spirits do tend to kind of stick around in houses and buildings like that? Because I always feel like, if I was a spirit, I'd want to move on a bit. I'd want to kind of explore and move. I'm a bit of a wanderer as it is. In
case you probably can.
I wouldn't want to be stuck indoors in the same building for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, like I can talk about like the one time, like that's when I was working in the corporate world. It was after my healing and still in the corporate world. Like I was driving to work one day and was like, why is traffic really built up? Because I was really had to take some back roads to get to work. And like, why is this really backed up? And I learned that there was a really major accident up ahead. So turning the radio, I heard some woman died in this accident up ahead. So it was like, so I just made my way to, work a different way. But then later that night, I was starting to do yoga at that time. Yeah, I was doing my yoga. So, and I was just, that studio was really about maybe like a kilometer away. It was pretty close to the accident where the yoga studio was.
Yeah.
So we're just sitting there in meditation that evening, and I just felt myself being pulled to this accident, just astrally traveling to this accident. And I saw this woman standing there on the side of the road where the accident happened. So I just had to move her on, but an astral let's say, yeah, I'm sorry you passed on. You're going to need to move to the light now, and just really comfort her and try to be gentle with her. That
I was going to say, what's the process there? In terms of moving people on, is it just a case of a conversation, or like you were saying earlier about how traumatic experiences, and sometimes they don't even know. So how would that conversation go? It's like, it must be pretty difficult in terms of I'm sorry, but you've passed on, and I can help you. I always.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Sorry, you died in this accident. I'm sorry to hear that you died in this accident. But now your family's waiting for you. See that light over there? Walk to that light.
See, that must be encouraging. Yeah, to say that. That is kind of like the one thing that you've said there that would make me go, okay, I'm on board with what you're saying here, and walk towards the light. I'll be with my family. That'd be, straight away.
I'd be still hesitant, to be honest, on walking to the white light, because it's always to the white light. But I always think if you were to die on the surgeon's table, and it says go to the white light, generally you come back.
Well, actually, that I've heard that as well. Actually, so
it'll be a case of it depends on the experience. I suppose what's happening at that time.
Way, really, you're either coming back to this plane of existence, or you're passing on, aren't you? So either way, it's going to be.
Yeah, because the thing with the operating room, you can come back because you still have the body there. When you're in a really tragic accident like this, you can't come back. Because there's no body to come back to. Like in the operating room, there's a body to come back to. The other story that I have about, crossing someone over was an old girlfriend of mine had a house down the street from Pennhurst.
Yeah.
Pennhurst is very famous in the States, in Pennsylvania, where they used to, mentally challenged kids. They used to ship them away to this institution, if you will. They just used to ship them away like it was too hard to take care of them. So it was the practice.
Dumping ground.
Yeah, so it's the Pennhurst State School Hospital, originally known as the Pennsylvania State Institute for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic. I said, what a name for a bit. After 79 years of controversy, it was closed in 1987. So go on. This is down the road from Pennhurst.
Yeah, so she literally lived maybe within 2 kilometers of this place. It was literally on the same road, right down the road a little bit. And so it was really curious, at her house, her dogs never went into the basement. I thought, that's curious. These dogs have a lot of energy. They're kind of big dogs. They're really playful with a lot of energy. They would get to the top of the steps and just look down. He's like, what is going on?
That this just something down there that they're not too keen on. This is it. I mean, animals. You said this earlier, didn't you, Taylor? How animals have a sense of these things as well as children and stuff.
Yeah.
So, did you find this kind of suspect straight away?
Yeah, this was like, I was like, this is unusual. What is going on here? So I went to go investigate, and it's like, there's a doctor living in the basement. I see him over there in the corner.
Was it one of the doctors from Penthurst?
Yes.
Oh,
I had a conversation with him. It took a lot to move this doctor over.
Do you know what his name was?
I don't know his name, but he was filled with a lot of guilt, a lot of remorse, and that he didn't do more. And I actually had to talk to him, convince him that you were just staff. You weren't the administrators. You weren't really that responsible. You just did your best with the patients that you had. And just to really give him a lot of talking and convincing that he did his best. He wasn't an administrator. He wasn't in charge. He had his select group of patients, and that was it. So after I had this discussion with him for a good 5 minutes, maybe 10, it was really a long discussion to convince him that he did nothing wrong, that was the administrators above him. Yeah. Then I just felt him move on. Then the next time I came back, I opened the basement door and the dogs went flying down. It's like, we have a new place to explore.
So they were quite happy to go down after that.
Yeah, then after that, they constantly went down the basement because it was a new place that they never explored before.
I'm wondering what this story is of this doctor to find the fact that he was down in this basement.
Away from the building,
especially after all that went on there. I don't know. Was he? I mean, did he? Do you know the circumstances of his death? Did he go into that or?
No, it didn't go into that. I wasn't really trying to get his life history, if you will. I was just trying to how can I get him to move on? How can they let go of that? My feeling was that was probably his house when he was a doctor there.
Yes. So do you think? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where it's like you start thinking about the history of these people and what led them to fight. Well, if they were to die in that property, and generally speaking, would you have said that he died in the basement?
No, I wouldn't say he died in the basement. I think he just felt. What I'm
that was his place.
That was where he was, and could
have been his comfort place where he didn't woodwork or something else.
Well, maybe or it's a case that he just wanted to be away from people who lived in the house now. Like you say, he wanted to be alone and isolated, and that was a perfect spot. But
yeah, you're like a negotiator for ghosts.
Yes,
yeah.
I actually see when you were telling me about this. It sparked my mind off again about Penthurst, and there was I read a couple of reports about this Dr. Fear, right? And I started to wonder if it could have been, related. This was Jesse Fear, who's a resident doctor at Penthurst in the late 20th century, had admitted under inquiry about several patient abuses, including injecting patients with chemicals to induce severe pain in order of punishment. And apparently he is known to haunt the Mayflower building over at Penthurst. And a lot of investigators have been over there and said they've got EVPs and stuff. And they say that there's bodies buried all over the premises, at Penthurst. So, I mean, could be out of the grounds as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's I think the whole area must be kind of be bothered, if you have hauntings of some description. I think it's a very fascinating place. When he apparently said, when they asked him where they put the bodies, he said he burnt a lot of them. And this was a ghost, apparently, that had said this.
Yeah, I just was curious who this Dr. Fear was, so I just Googled him here, and that's not who I saw.
Was it not? Right, okay, that's cool. Well, like you say, I think he was one of the practicing doctors there, rather than somebody who was just a nurse or somebody who, like you say, in administration terms, there'll be a matron or somebody high up who runs the place, and then you've got your staff doctors and then everybody else. So I'm assuming it would have been that top brass who made all those sort of decisions in terms of treatments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was just a staff doctor. Yeah, he wasn't in charge. That's why he felt so guilty and remorseful that he was powerless.
So
that's fair enough.
That's amazing. Fair enough, I mean, it's amazing that you this kind of happens and happened to yourself. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it was kind of? I mean, I don't know what we talked about ego earlier, but do you think you were kind of given this sort of as a gift to do more and kind of try and do, like you say, be a negotiator or somebody
spread the word
to kind of help cross spirits over? Or do you think it's a calling or something that's just a byproduct of something else, or just an awakening?
Yeah, it's something I've actually really struggled with. After I did my healing, what is my purpose? What do I want to focus on? Is it mediumship? Is it psychic? But what it was to me, what ultimately came down to was I really want to help people that are dealing with chronic illnesses like multiple sclerosis, bipolar, migraines, even cancer. I have some really remarkable stories on people I help with cancer. And that's like, well, of all these paths, the one that can make the most difference is the people that are dealing with these health challenges, these modern myths with health. You know, once you lose your health, it's gone forever. I'm living proof that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so
you're not wrong there.
I mean, obviously, it's like you did see doctors as well, but would you say that their advice and their help was partially to kind of partially involved in your recovery, or would you say that it was you tried that and it didn't work for you, and like you were saying earlier, the doctors seemed a bit dumbfounded by the whole situation? Did they ever come up with a theory or hypothesis to why this could have happened?
No, but what I really see is, you know, the medicine was good. Like the bipolar medicine was good because when I was diagnosed with bipolar, I was suicidal in my 20s. So it took me 5 years to get the bipolar medicine correct. So it gave me the stability. If I didn't have the stability, I probably wouldn't have been able to meditate even that 5 minutes of just quieting my mind down. So the medicine gave me the foundation. That's why I tell people that medicine isn't necessarily bad. It gives you stability, it gives you foundation. Yeah. Then once you find your own strength, then maybe you won't need that anymore.
I think everybody's got it within themselves to combat stuff like depression and, you know, like anxieties and things like that. Without the aid of prescription medication, it's just a case of being strong within yourself. I think it's just a case of like being a positive, person and not letting it beat you in a lot of ways, and that's a really positive message to send out, I think.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like I saw my psychiatrist was good. He gave me the meditation to build that foundation, but he never once said to me when I was going through all this stress, all these stories, autoimmune disease, like, hey, have you ever tried meditation? Have you ever tried yoga? Something to quiet the mind? It was like, here's another medicine. Here's another this.
Very quick to do that.
He never said to me, hey, do you realize you're not your thoughts?
Well, I remember when I was taking like morphine tablets, like I went into the doctors and he turned around and said, you were taking more morphine tablets than a cancer patient. And that shocked me so much that within that 5 years, it made me strong-willed enough to actually come off the medication itself. Mm-hmm. Bit by bit, but slowly getting there by self more positive. Use it, don't like just keep it there, I think and cuddle it.
With a
use
lot of
it
people,
and make it work.
I think
that's great, Taylor. You found your strength. That's really good, Taylor. You found
definitely.
Your strength.
It's a case of like, trying to. You got to understand yourself, haven't you? I think when people say, the first step in, finding happiness is being happy yourself and happy within yourself. It's easier said than done for a lot of people. People are just kind of inherently unhappy a lot of the time, and the way that the world is, it doesn't do us any favors. So I think taking that time out to quiet your mind, to meditate, to try and close yourself off from the the busyness and the kind of the hectic world outside, can do you wonders. And I mean, I'm not just in your kind of your health and your well-being, but in terms of, you never know, it could kind of unlock something and maybe open your eyes to something you never thought possible.
Yeah,
right. That's exactly it. Because people just say, you know, snap out of it, let go, and people think it's like really easy. And it's like, if it was that easy, we would have no health challenges in the world. There'd be no stress. Totally. And you could just let it go. Yeah. That's why the mind is very possessive. It really grabs onto that head trash and it doesn't want to throw it out. It's like, oh, this story is strong. So it's this practice of just, oh, this isn't my truth. I need to start weakening this and letting it go. And
I always go with, I control my body. My body doesn't control me.
Well, sometimes depends.
Well,
back out occasionally, and I'm like, oh, no, it's not my body's crap.
I control my body. I make the decisions on what I do. If my body's telling me I want ice cream, I'm going to have ice cream. My body's telling me not to have ice cream, I'm not. You know what I mean? It's one of them.
But as Sam's just said, could that not be your brain telling that you want ice cream, and you're not your brain, you're not your thoughts?
That's my gut.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely gut.
What your gut is saying, your heart's probably saying is eat the carrots and not the ice cream. Your brain's saying eat the ice cream. The heart is telling you eat your veggies, eat your fruits.
Yeah, true.
Exactly. There's a reason why I've got a full fruit bowl and an empty sweet drawer, mate. That's
no. Well, everything has got to be, if you're going to take something, it's got to be in moderation. Never over excess whatever you're going to be using, because then that is abuse.
So, Sam, we're going to have to close up. But I mean, is there anything else that you want to kind of any tips for kind of any
up and comings?
Well, is there anything that you're doing at the moment that you'd want to plug, or is there anything that you or any tips that you'd like to give our listeners on how to, maybe they want to try and get into meditation and they don't really want to go down the religious route or anything like that? Anything that you can recommend to get people started?
Yeah, so what I just tell people, so once a month I do what's called the circle. It's just a community gathering where I just join all the energies together and we clear out the head trash so you can start finding your own voice, you're finding your own truth. So I create my circles, but I don't call them healing circles. I just call them circles because healing has all these stories. And so we want to let go of the stories, join the circle. And that's where you create the miracles, is by being that place of peace. That's where it happens. And you can always find me on, like, if they go into the Head Trash Anonymous Facebook group, they can get a copy of my first book for free. They can just download that PDF. They can find me on Head Trash Anonymous. They can find me on YouTube as Sam the Miracle Man. And I'm sharing a video there every day for the last 4 months talking about this. And that's what I mean. I just created a fun video yesterday. And this, really what's coming to this society right now is like, trust me, I know what's best for you. With all the other thing that we see right now, what they're trying to force in society, trust me, I know what's best for you, and they don't know. Yeah. As you were saying, Taylor, that we live in this body. We know what's best for us. Yeah. Others are just guessing what's best for us. We have to follow we got to follow our own instincts, our own gut instincts, and follow that voice, and not allow the mind to lead us astray off our path. Yeah. And unfortunately, people are just in this fear state that they're not listening to themselves. They're just marching along with them. They say, no thanks, I want to march this direction.
I think we've kind of been sort of pigeonholed into this, though, recently, haven't we? It's got a lot worse. Totally. And in terms of, like, how... You know, we could say the lockdown, for instance. You know, you get locked down and everybody's been told you've got to do this and act this certain way for the time being. But it's when the time being becomes a lifetime is when, you know, you start thinking,
things need to change.
Well, it's not that. It's like you were saying there. You know yourself. You know your own body and mind, and you know, and enough's enough. And anyway.
Yeah, but there's no harm in having a little medical help.
Right, there's no harm, right? But as long as it doesn't become your crutch, and just realize,
totally.
That, like when I was dealing with bipolar and things like that and MS, it's just a matter of like finding my own path. I just want to feed the prescribed formula and the prescribed formula would either have me in a wheelchair or dead by now, because the medicine doesn't cure. The cure is within us.
Yeah. So it just helps.
Well, thank you for coming in and having a chat with us, Sam. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been definitely interesting. We go over and check out Sam's website. What was it called again, Sam?
Headtrashanonymous.org.
Headtrashanonymous.org. And you can find out more about Sam the Miracle Man over there. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for having me, guys. Enjoyed talking to you guys and Taylor. Beautiful.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Thanks again, Sam, for coming in for some wonderful conversation there.
Yeah, it was a great conversation.
So, moving on. Yeah. This week, we have a promo, which is The Movie Seller, which is brought to you by Chris, George, and Dan. They basically have a wide VHS collection and an internet connection and a bit of an uninformed opinion.
Yeah, some good old films back in the day.
Well, they say they're not a movie podcast. Well, they are, but they're not.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well,
check them out. Here's the promo.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Overlord Dan from The Movie Seller, and I am here to tell you about our upcoming event, the Trilogy of Trash Birthday Bash, dropping on May 7th, where we'll be celebrating our 2-year podcasting anniversary by showing you guys a triple feature of short, shot-on-video horror films from our friends at Dungeon Entertainment. It'll be a live YouTube broadcast, and we'll be hanging out and chatting with you guys. All you need to do to join in is make a $5 donation to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. The JDRF's entire goal is finding a cure for type 1 diabetes for people like my daughter Lily and the millions of others living with the disease. $5 gets you in, $10 gets you a swag pack with cool stickers and exclusive mini prints, and every donation gets you entered to win our raffle for exclusive mixtape, signed prints, hats, shirts, and more. Check out trashbash.themovieseller.com to learn more. That's trashbash.themovieseller.com.
So thanks, guys, for dropping your promo. You can too if you send us an email to neverstraightanswer@gmail.com, and you could be featured on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So, without further ado, we've got some news.
Yes, we do.
It's the news! And as usual, we've scoured the news, the world, the wide web, and everywhere else to find the best cutting-edge news available.
Oh, yeah.
And we won't disappoint.
No,
like I say,
never do, I don't think.
Very, very intensely researched in the 15 minutes, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love the fact that we do that we kind of go sheerly off headlines.
Yeah.
You know, because some of the stories, like, they just don't... They're not always what they cracked up to be.
Yeah, exactly. But they say one thing and it's totally a different thing.
But anyway, we can have our own opinions, can't we?
Yes.
One story I noticed before, we go into anything else. Subway's in trouble again. Apparently, So we've talked about the bread and stuff they put in it, and like the methods and practices, and they're supposed to be kind of backed by an association of doctors, which I doubt, because I doubt any doctor, involved would put their name and reputation to this place. I know a lot of people like it. Yeah, Subway or whatever, but if you knew it's what's in it.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
this is now new allegations that Subway and a Subway employee has revealed what the meat the chain uses actually looks like before it's put into the sandwiches. This guy, Travis from the US, has racked up nearly 9 million views on TikTok.
Boy.
Because he's exposed the fast foods chain secret, specifically how the meat's prepared. In a video, Travis tackles the steak, and it just looks like a block of shit, to be honest. I can't believe. Block of solid meat, and it's like,
See,
and then they break it up to make it, God knows. But
I'm glad of whistleblowers like that.
Yeah, totally. But, I mean, obviously, it's like how long before he's exposed and loses his job for
exactly. Yeah, he's going to get backlash off this.
Shady practices.
Yeah,
but if they weren't shady practices, then he wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's... I'm on his side, to be fair.
I'm totally,
I don't want to be kind of, led to believe that what I'm eating's fresh and and good for me.
Yeah.
When it's actually made with worse things that they're putting in McDonald's food or like other fast food, because this is the whole point. Because Subway was like, it's not even the first time there, because they get exposed with the guy who. There was a big campaign in America about Subways with Jared, I think, where he was supposed to have lost so much weight on the
diet,
on the Subway diet, and he was a spokesperson for them. And then it turns out that there was a whole thing with him, and I don't know exactly what the situation was, but
that was sort of the case with the first McDonald's man as well.
What, Ronald?
Yeah.
The clown?
No, Mr. McDonald. He was supposed to, the guy who was, in the suit and that, he ended up being sacked.
I didn't realise that he was a guy who,
Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, but he was a clown suit.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So the first guy who dressed up as Ronald McDonald for McDonald's, right?
And he grew larger and larger, and he ended up turning around and saying he wasn't eating their products. So he got the sack for it, and he brought someone else.
So they were like, "You're looking healthy, Ronald,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, because I keep going Pizza Hut."
Yeah. And then, Jamie Oliver took him to court in 2018 and, won a court case against him saying that's, meat, and it's not meat, with, you could get one of the burgers, put it on the side, leave it for 2 years, and it'd be exactly the same.
Yeah, there's been people actually done that on YouTube. I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's and we're the ones who are eating this
Turkey
shit.
Twizzlers are back.
Yes.
They're not in schools, but they've had to try and, obviously the people from the makers of Turkey Twizzlers, they're making them.
Shit in a wrap.
Putting them in supermarkets, and I noticed they were on a couple of aisles.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa, we're really pushing these Turkey Twizzlers.
They must be properly checked out.
I hope they've improved the recipe.
Yeah, well, presuming so, or they won't be able to.
Kids everywhere.
Yeah.
Turkey Twizzlers. But Jamie Oliver doesn't like that.
No. Well, he's the one. Yeah, he was the kickoff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
at the end of the day,
kids, fucking school dinners and all the rest of it.
Just shows what you don't know what you're putting in your mouth. Doesn't it?
I had to be careful which story I went with after that. Then,
yeah.
Anything else you've seen in the news?
Something that come along that I didn't even know about that happened in 2019. Colin McGregor.
Right.
He bought a pub in Dublin.
Okay.
And did you know he knocked some fucker out and barred him straight away near enough
just
one of the first
for
things?
the fuck of it, and to say, right, I'm just going to set a precedent. Right, this is what you get if you fuck about in my pub.
Yeah, and it was like,
let that be a lesson to you.
That's the last person you got to fuck with.
It's
in
all
a
right.
Pub,
bars were opened in England recently, and the Labour MP was doing his whole press junket thing, and he went into a pub in, I don't know, London. I assume London.
Local elections, isn't it?
And the landlord ejected him from the pub, but got into a bit of a tussle.
I hope he got him by the collar.
He had him in a headlock. Right?
Yes, mate.
Threw him out the pub,
yes.
And then obviously his entourage were kind of getting him in the mix and stuff, but he was like, nah, I don't want him in my pub, he's barred from my pub. And he was like, well, he's totally entitled to his opinions if he's not, but it was a bit extreme, but then he was like, go to the next pub, and first thing he did was, when he was walking in the pub, was go, am I allowed to come in?
Yeah, I bet he did,
I don't want to get another beating.
Yeah,
so,
well, they've done jack shit basically over the last couple of years. There's been no really been turning around and arguing.
Get into politics. I've got this story. Yeah, about a teacher. Right.
All right.
This is, I don't know. You could take this one of two ways. Yeah, you could rather say this is a cool teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
not.
Oh, this is a bit of a dodgy teacher. Right. This teacher, he got drunk and took students to a strip club on a school trip.
Minter. He's showing them life. He's showing them life. You know what I mean?
Which little shit grassed him up?
Yeah, he's definitely getting it down.
Richard Glenn's behaviour was deemed to be inappropriate. That was the send home message.
It depends how old the kids are, though. I've got to be honest.
Well, it's one of them,
if you're
isn't it?
talking
It's like, how old? Yeah, how old were the kids? Were they sixth forms or
talking-
year 9? You know,
Yeah.
Teacher who got drunk with pupils. He's getting drunk with pupils. They must have been like, you know.
It's a bit, that's a bit, in this day and age, it's a bit off. Not, shouldn't be doing that kind of shit now.
What?
Drinking with pupils.
No, but what I'm getting at is like, you know, if he's the cool teacher, they get on with him. They're on the school trip. Yeah. It's like if the year 11 or like, you know, the last year in seniors or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean,
it's
that's
different. No, it's different because like over in the States, obviously it's 21.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. In England, it's 18.
Yeah,
you can drink. So these kids who are in their last year of school are literally months away from from this being able to legally buy alcohol in a pub. Now the law states in the UK is if you're accompanied by an adult, right, you can actually have a pint in a pub.
Yeah, no
right?
issue about it.
Yeah. Now, so I don't see what the damage is there, right? Now we're talking if they were actually
much
minors,
younger.
like, you know, like
definitely
he's took a primary school class out
and
got
be
them all
charges
pissed
on him.
and took him to a strip club, then then fair play, But if they're all like 17, 18...
then you got to give a little leeway. And plus, an adult, a supposed responsible adult,
someone's
has
done
taken you there and shown you what you
know. He's trying. I don't know if he was trying to fucking be cool or what, you know, and he, you know, be that sort of cool teacher to the kids. But what some little cunt, sorry, I somebody say that, but like what some little shit that's done is ruined some guy's life by you know.
Yeah, opening his mouth.
Dobbing on him.
Yeah. What are you dobbing for, man? Yeah, he's showing you an experience here. You might not ever see this again.
Maybe some of the kids felt a bit like, you know, uncomfortable by it.
Well, it depends. If they were brought in like, you got to come in here, then then
come in here, I'll teach you the ways of the world.
Yeah, then
like
that's out of order.
Fagin.
But if he's given the responsibility, you've never been to one before, do you want to have a look and see what one looks like in there? Stay there for 5 minutes, walk back out.
Yeah.
Then that's
now what? Hey, wait, yeah. It could have been like, you know, kids come home from the school trip and gone, you never guess where we went to. His dad or something, and his dad's gone, you what? And then that's probably where it's come out. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
mixed opinions on this one.
Well, yeah, because there's different ways of seeing it, and it depends on kids and like. You got to look after the kids, especially this day and age. You know what I mean?
Of course,
So much.
I think again, variables, stuff going on there.
Yeah, definitely. Case by case.
What for you? So go on. Do you think he should be penalised? Do you think he should be getting in trouble? I think he should get a slap on the wrist and say, you don't do that.
Yeah,
that's inappropriate for the workplace.
Yeah, if it was like you were saying, like the 18, and like they weren't forced to go in there, then that's fair enough. But if they were like younger, then discipline.
Hey, it could have been one of the younger lads' ideas
on the register
to drag teacher along to a strip club.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And because he's been seen there with them, or he's
dragged
been,
them along.
Yeah, it looks like he's the teacher.
Gone in and tried
he should know better.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean?
Well, he's got a case to fight then. Like, all right, bring it to court.
Yeah, but then he's got to say
video
evidence
of the bouncer,
exactly.
Evidence of all.
He's got to kind of say then I've lost control of my class. They initiated it, and I kind of got swept along with it. Yeah.
You didn't have control.
Well, you haven't got control of you can't do your job then, can you?
So the worst he could do, get a slap on the wrist because he didn't have control of the kids.
Yeah. Anyway, crack on. What's the next bit?
Yeah. Let's crack. Oh, right. Yeah. I would watch outgoing swimming in the EU this year.
Is that a clue for the...
No, it's not.
Let's go on. What is it?
A great white shark could end up being in European waters this summer.
There's a lot of sharks about at the moment.
But after taking a wrong turn, scientists are saying.
No, I'm joking, I didn't. Actually, on the news I did, there was another shark. The beaches keep getting closed in Australia because of sharks coming right to the coast, you know, like, and everyone has to bail.
To me, it sounds like there's something else going on in the water, which has been going on for a long time, where, you know, either sonar or something like that, because But then again, it's still it's happening with animals on land as well as in the air. There's still them kind of flocks of dead animals for no apparent reason.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
And it hasn't like gone away. It's just been, shoved to the back burner for now.
I found this story actually about animals. Well, kind of. It's like this woman. Yeah, she had an infestation of rattlesnakes. By the sounds of it.
Okay.
Now she's got some guy to come round and remove them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, that could be a dangerous job.
Yeah.
Rattlers.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, Arizona resident. Oh God, sorry. Recently announced that the two problems that are likely to ruin anyone's day is that there's a rattlesnake hiding in a home, and the hugely inflated price she got charged for getting rid of them.
Right. What we're talking thousands of pounds for a 10-minute job.
£800 or $800 for a rattlesnake removal.
Yeah, that's a bit. Well, you know what, love? You should have checked your quote beforehand.
Well, $895 estimated to remove a reptile.
I'd get a big stick and do it myself.
I'm not being funny, but it's like if I was the guy, I've got to kind of take the guy's the guy's side. I mean, it is extortionate, yeah, right. But it's like, well,
so then you're taking the woman's side, just saying that alone.
Well, no, but it's the thing is, it's like you've got to call somebody else out right now. If I wanted to set up as a snake removal guy now, right, and I'd look at the market and say, what are other reptile removals or pest control people charging for this similar job? Got to put into the fact the risk factor, as well, danger money. Yeah, but
come on,
tackle a wild animal which could literally kill you.
Well, yeah, that's about the £600 is what is that your danger money?
I'm not taking anyone's side, but what I'm getting at is I'm sure that if she shopped around, she might have found something cheaper.
Yeah.
She didn't have to go with this guy.
No, that is true.
Right, and at the end of the day, right, if I'm doing the job and someone started moaning about the price, it's like that scene in Ghostbusters where he goes like, and he's like, it's ridiculous, I just won't pay it. And he goes, well, I'll put it back if you want.
Damn right.
And
I'd put the snake back.
That's what I'm saying. You could put
In fact, I had an extra one or two.
I'll stick the snake back and you can deal with it. And it's like, well,
I won't tell you about it.
I mean, you might not like paying it because it's a cost that you
didn't
didn't really want to pay, but would you rather have a venomous snake in your house, or would you rather pay the £800?
Fuck it, it'd go out on its own.
If he was a savvy fucking snake guy, he'd be planting snakes there and everywhere.
He probably did.
He might have.
He might have,
I don't want to cast aspersions on his guy, but
where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, he was there within less than an hour.
Less than an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got to be scamming it, hasn't he?
No,
He's in
look, he
Australia.
was there within an hour. He located the snake, took some photographs, gave her an estimate to remove it before,
Right, well then, it's totally her fault.
Down to her.
It's down to her fault. Like, look at the small print.
My advice to you, if you find a venomous animal in your house,
shut the door.
Shut the door.
Yeah.
Shut
the door, put some roll.
If you find a bear in your kitchen or give
bear?
it a bop on the nose.
Yeah, no, shotgun. Shotgun to the noggin.
You wouldn't hurt it. Might just be looking for honey.
Oh yeah, it's coming to your yard and it's looking for the honey in your kitchen, and you pop downstairs and all of a sudden.
Talking of honey.
Yes.
Yeah. America's honey, apparently. You've seen this story, haven't you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I found it on Vice. I don't know where you've seen it. You said you've seen it in the news, but America's honey apparently is radioactive.
Yes.
Due to decades of nuclear bomb testing
in the 50s and 60s.
Not so sweet.
Isotope identified as calcium 137, and it can be deadly to your body because it is a
radioactive isotope, isn't it?
Well, it's a gamma, which is the worst one.
You'll start hulking out.
Over
the time, obviously, the world's nuclear powers have detonated over 500 nukes. We've talked about nuclear bombs in the past,
and it was done by accident as well. Finding this, it was actually a school experiment.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was actually a school experiment. What they did was the teacher asked for items from the holiday you just come from, like of food. So people brought in stuff. And then he checked them, and he was surprised. Like on the honey, it was like, oh my God, it's gone up. So then the girl who actually brought the item in, she went back home and she thought, I'll try something else. I'll try jam. So she tried jam as well.
Okay.
And it ended up being both of them radioactive.
Well, they ended up doing a study on the honey.
Yeah.
Right. And researchers collected honey samples from more than 100 hives and soil samples from over 110 locations across eastern United States.
Yeah.
And the scientists even found evidence of levels of cesium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In both the soil and the honey samples.
Yeah.
So, meaning that they were radioactive and,
And this was California farm as well.
California.
And it out of the 122 honey samples, 68 showed the radioactive material.
Sweets for my sweet.
So it's like,
sugar
watch it.
for my honey.
I'm a thingy for honey, though.
I like a bit of honey in my coffee.
Well, it's good to get rid of bacteria as well. It's good for.
I don't know. You know what? Right? They say it's better for you,
And
but
it's
I find
long-lasting.
like when I get sort of a bit of teeth twinges when I have too much honey in my coffee,
yeah.
and I always think like rather than having a spoon one sugar, I go boom with the honey.
Yeah, I'm a honey.
More for the taste. Yeah,
More for the
than
sweetness,
not the sweetness. More the kind of like the honey taste in my coffee.
Yeah,
and so I switch back. So.
Well,
Have you seen anything else that you want to talk about?
Yes, actually. There's the USA, Russia, and China had done an agreement.
Not to be confused with the USB.
Yeah, no, not the USB. It's got to be the USA.
Okay.
Basically made an agreement to ban weapons up in space, basically making it like a...
Oh!
Yeah. But there is some good news on that front if you
I
are
was
on
going to
that
build
front.
a Death Star.
See, well, you can
Shit.
now because the USA decided
we
we're going
can.
away and we're not going to do it anymore because we've got Space Force out there and we've got to take control.
we can't. What's the point in having a space force if you've got
Yeah, exactly.
if you can't force?
Exactly. So they're up there.
It's like we're like that's defense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it should
well,
be the space defense.
Yeah, but it's usually an excuse, isn't it? Defense for an offense work.
Well,
And
defense make a good offense.
UFO report that's coming in June was supposed to be coming out on the 21st, but now has been set back to the 25th by the Secretary of State. So that tells me that I think it's not going to be a bigger bombshell than they're making it out to be, which a lot of them over the years have been like, oh, well, there's something big going to come out of here, and it's no, there's nothing really major. We already knew this, we already knew that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, because they're getting a bit more brazen on, like, giving us more information and videos and stuff like that at the moment, that I hope it has got something in there to actually, inspire us to continue what we're doing.
Inspire.
Yeah, that's the fella.
Not conspire.
That's what, yeah, not conspire.
Huddled in corners
They're
going...
they're doing too much of that. That's where the situation's gone wrong, isn't it?
Really big.
Yeah, so get together and,
Do you believe, sorry to kind of go totally off topic here, but do you believe in vampires?
Vampire Bats, yeah.
Well, like, I remember when I was a teenager, there was like a shop in Manchester.
Okay.
And, he's still there. He's Affleck's Palace, right? Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And you go in Affleck's Palace and there were certain shops where you could buy porcelain vampire teeth. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And there was like, you go to the rock clubs and there was like girls and guys who
biting each other on the neck.
I don't know. I'm sure they still do it. I'm sure there's still people out there who do it, but it seemed to be a lot of them back then. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, and they walk around with like porcelain vampire teeth in. Well, this Florida woman thinks she's a vampire, believes she's a vampire. She bit an elderly man.
What?
They're calling it a vampire attack. The Florida woman was allegedly claimed to be a vampire, has been charged with battery after violating and biting a man in a wheelchair. It's like an easy target here.
Yeah, she was a bit nibblish. So,
Nibbleish. You can't. A bit peckish.
Yeah.
Well,
she just took a nibble, didn't she?
She bit him on the face and the arms.
Why?
And the police said she was mental. So
That's probably, that is probably
a Florida.
it.
So we obviously she's alleged that she's claiming to be a vampire.
It
what do
weren't
you
out in the
reckon?
day then, was it? She must have been doing this at night.
It could have been at night. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't broad daylight, was it?
She can't have it at she'd be burned
I
away.
doubt she would
Burn
have,
away.
like, vampire law.
And if there's one there, could there be many more?
Was she a legit
Exactly.
vampire, is what I'm
if
saying.
she was, then, there
Well,
might be a couple of more hanging around there. We'll have to find out over the next couple of years, I suppose.
well, he said that he met on the street and went to the porch of a vacated restaurant or a vacant restaurant to get out of the rain.
Yeah.
And then he said fell asleep in his wheelchair, woke up to find Smith on top of him, Josephine Smith,
Right.
age 22.
Right, young buck.
So saying, and she was saying that she was obviously, I'm a vampire, I'm going to eat you, and then began to bite him.
Oh, no, man.
So according to the police, he was bitten on the arms, the lip, and leaving him bloody before he was able to escape and call the police.
She must have been full, or she would have had him in one take.
Well, they all in movies, they're always like,
Yeah, just give
they
it
go to town, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, rah, rah, rah,
Just shows you.
rah, rah, rah.
I'll have that. Yeah, or I'll have you for later.
It's a poor kid, mate. Poor guy.
Yeah, he's probably-
Well, he's 69-year-old as well. He wasn't, so it's horrible to think that person was targeted because they were old in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like they thought, they're not going to struggle. They're not going to be able to fight back as much. They're not going to be able to. That's
Yeah.
horrible to think. And
It sounds
the
like
fact-
she was mentally
She's
unstable,
got
to
some.
be honest.
Well,
Sounds like it.
oh no, because you could start going down there. Well, was she a real
Yeah.
vampire?
Yeah, I know
What
where
is
you're
it?
going on
I
this.
mean, if we talk about cryptids and monsters and stuff on the show, we've never tackled vampires, right?
No, not really.
So
We've had
I've
the
never
odd
really
stuff
had
about
I've never really kind of thought or looked at the evidence to support whether vampires are, could be a real thing in modern society or
I have time.
I know that I do know that there are people who like identify
Yeah.
as a vampire, but identifying as a vampire and
It's
actually
different to be a
acting
vampire,
and
yeah.
performing as a vampire is
Yeah. I
totally
think I
different.
remember the last one was Romanian, I think.
If you're a vampire, we'd
yeah,
love to hear
we'd
from
love
you.
to hear from you, yeah.
Come and join us on the show and
Yeah.
tell us about your ways.
Yeah, just leave
Um,
my neck alone.
Well, yeah. Don't bite us.
I don't want to live forever.
We can't. We'll do with the interview from outside. You can't come in.
Yeah. Don't invite in. Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
invite him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Anyway.
lichens either. Don't want the dog, ruining the floor.
Well, actually, do you know what? There's a story there. Yeah, because do you know the vaccine for COVID? There's a dog vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, people being people, there's obviously shortages of vaccines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Well,
India's
apparently
been
the
struck.
dog vaccine does not prevent COVID. Do you know what I mean? Like, but people are going to fucking doing it anyway.
Well, yeah. And not only that, if you're going to do the dog, well, what about every other animal around the world?
Well,
You know what I mean?
Investigators have found that almost 100 people in Chile were injected with the canine vaccine and told
People?
incorrectly, that it would prevent COVID. Yeah.
Fucking
So
hell.
obviously, if anyone is offered it,
That's some shit. That's some. Oh,
so
man.
when a Chilean health organization asked why staff were giving out fucking
The wrong
well,
medicine.
they weren't wearing face masks.
What?
When they were asked, so they were like, they got an unusual answer. They said they'd already been vaccinated against COVID-19 by the vet. Yeah, they were told that the family and the staff with dogs, they'd done them with the dog vaccination, and it had helped boost dogs' immune system as well as prevent COVID-19. So they've ended up taking it as well.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about last year when we didn't have a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah.
And because this is their quote, so he was basically thinking about it and thought, well, it
Why not?
works for the dogs.
Yeah, if it works for the dogs,
So
it
they
might
took
work
it,
for me.
and obviously they were wearing no masks because they felt like they were fully vaccinated. and fucking it doesn't work. It's not like it works.
They could have been proper spreaders.
But the thing is, as well, it goes to show you how easily people are, are willing to try these things. So it was like with the whole thing with the president and the bleach and
and
even this vaccine, but it's not great. It's not been tested super thoroughly. We're finding that these things where issues with blood clots and certain vaccines for under 40s doesn't work.
Seems to be blood types at the moment.
Well, who knows, right? Yeah. Because they would have found all this shit out if they had a longer period of,
going off information.
Of trials, but they needed it rapid, and I understand that, but there's definitely going to be problems. So, I mean, but people jumping at the chance to take it, to take that chance because they want to be protected and have that peace of mind. So but I understand why there's a percentage of people who haven't taken the vaccine yet, even though they've probably been offered it, because they may be worried about the effects, the long-term effects, and especially now things are coming out in the news.
Yeah, things are being found out, bits and bobs there. The blood type thing, I believe when SARS was around, they were doing tests on that, and it seems that if you're a blood type O, that you're relatively, okay. Basically, if you're any of the others,
I don't know what blood type I am. I can't remember.
You know what? I think is it an AB? I think I'm or something like that. I have to find out because, I want to find out some more news on this because it seems to be a way of finding out that there won't be any problems afterwards. It's a good indicator at the minute.
Right. Fair enough.
So I want to keep my eye on that one at the minute.
Well, I think that's it for the normal news. We've got quite a lot of NASA news coming up. Yeah. Starting with warp drives. Physicists are saying green light on faster than light space travel, saying it's giving them a boost.
That's a bit of a. I don't know if I'm going to say the right word here. Oxymoron.
Why? How's that?
Because they had the test not that long ago, didn't they? I think it was Belgium, somewhere like that they did a test.
Oh, it's not possible yet.
You can't get.
No, you can't do it. It's not possible. It's sci-fi, right? But they saying that with research, they reckon they can achieve it. I think so. The closest star to Earth is what, Taylor?
That's on
Proxima Centauri.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 4.25 light years away.
Yeah.
Which is about 25 trillion miles.
Yeah, it's
or 40 trillion kilometers.
Yeah.
So the fastest starship now in space, Parker Solar Probe, right?
Yeah.
Will reach top speed of 450,000 miles per hour. Yeah. God. And it'd take just 20 seconds to go from LA to New York City, right, in that time. So, if we want to be able to travel between stars, we're going to have to invent faster than light. Yeah, because
or some kind of
it'd take us generations to get anywhere. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
it'd
rather have to have a ship that could sustain us for those periods of time.
Yeah.
Be able to invent something like a stasis where we can freeze and come out of it when we arrive at our destination, or have a propulsion system that will be able to get us there faster. Yeah. And I think that's obviously the best option.
Yeah, by far. And it's I've got proof of that work today, actually, about how when the Voyager's probes went out in the 70s, and how one went, a probe from here went out in 2012, I think it was, which was the New Horizon. Well, the New Horizons just broke a new record now because it's the first one that's ever passed Jupiter and took pictures of, not Jupiter, sorry, Pluto.
Yeah.
And took pictures of its moons and stuff like that and calculated a lot more. We got a lot more detail of it. But now it's not that far behind Voyager 1 and hitting the void now.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it could have avoided that by jumping through a wormhole.
Yes.
Yeah, because this warp drives that they're proposing would operate in that sort of folding of space, if you like, to create a tunnel,
yes,
from points in space to another point in space, right? Well, kind of like if you want to go down the like the Einstein-Rosen bridge, or like like a wormhole, like
commonly
if you kind of
known,
like Stargate portal, whatever, you know, but. I think they're obviously these boffins are looking into this, and I think that's the kind of the theory that they're looking at to try and make warp drives a thing.
I remember in the mid-90s there was a company that come out who was doing a lot of research into that a few years beforehand, and was like, we're getting there slightly, but we're trying to get there. But then scientists turned around and said, yeah, we can do it. We will be able to do it.
Well, they're saying the physicists currently understanding the current understanding of space-time comes from Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity.
Yeah,
general relativity states that space and time are fused and that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. But obviously, general relativity also describes how mass and energy warps space-time.
Yeah,
that's right. So you can basically say that it is possible. Yeah,
but that's only if his theories turn out to be right.
Because there's nothing linking it all together, and that's the problem. But like maybe with this new force that's been discovered, could answer new questions. Who knows?
Let's hope.
See what happens in the future.
But then again, we're only going to abuse it anyway. To be honest,
abuse it, and you abuse it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of UFO activity recently.
Oh yes.
How much? We'll tell you. Most compelling UFO videos. Mystery craft split into two at 120 miles an hour as 55 scientists demand the data to be released now.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's like fucking ridiculous. And obviously this is supposed to be government REF.
It's
footage.
coming from it was Navy footage.
Maybe,
and RAF
yeah.
footage.
Who knows? I mean, so this is ground attack. Footage, I suppose. The team of scientists and engineers and former military officers have made a case for the most compelling UFO footage as they urge Congress to release more data on the string of strange encounters. Obviously, this relates to kind of reports that even kind of pilots and they get every day then just kind of put away and never actually release it or never investigate it.
Told to hush up as well.
Shh.
Yeah, don't say anything. Men in Black could just come round and sort you out, man.
Well,
we don't want that.
I mean, they're not all hushing up because
there's always been a little bunch of brave people who've actually come out and gone, I don't care about the consequences.
The whistleblowers.
And had consequences behind it.
But then again, you always get these people who, on the deathbed, come out and say, do you know what? It is all there. Yeah. It is something there. They are lying to you. And
a lot of that from Roswell as well. A lot of people who are on the deathbed.
It is true.
Yeah.
Well, I think disclosure's coming. The truth is up there. Yeah. Canada revealed dozens of UFO reports by commercial airline pilots, including a floating donut, a bizarre hovering strobing light, and a speedy, shiny metal object in the sky.
Speedy.
They get their sightings to, I think it's CADOR's database. I think that's where they're kept.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that's maintained by the Transport Canada.
Oh, right. Surprising.
Organization. Yeah. So apparently their database is housing 300,000 independent reports from airline pilots and one potential UFO sighting in 2016, which basically a plane rapidly descending to avoid the object. So they had to kind of go fucking drop in altitude
had a bit more
to try and avoid something in a collision. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Well,
just
imagine you're in a
I'm
plane,
thinking-
you've got to go, fucking A, and it's like, to everyone in the back, you're like, shit, I'm going to fucking crash.
Well, I'm thinking of the Japanese plane. Was it Japanese plane?
Well, this is Canada, innit? So,
yeah, it
you
was
know.
over Canada, and it was a big, massive. We did one of the stories on it. It was a big, massive UFO right in front of the plane, and he's tried to dodge it, and he just stayed right in front, but like same speed.
Yeah.
In front of it, and then it disappeared after the.
Do you think that there's been a big surge? Because, you know, a survey shows that in Canada alone that 46% of people and 46% increase in UFO sightings in Canada between 2019 and 2020, likely brought on by the pandemic.
New York.
This is the
doubled.
Mail that you say this, you know.
Yeah.
So don't.
New York's doubled over the pandemic sites, and people are actually. I think it's because people are not going out and doing things, and they've got the chance and the opportunity to actually have a look. I think
last year, like when majority of us were on lockdown, and the first lockdown when obviously everything shut down and it was like eerie, and you couldn't. There wasn't as much traffic on the roads, or if none. And then, but the main thing was planes in the sky, right? There was no planes in the sky. Very little. Right. There was only literally like aid planes, like anyone flying out to deliver aid or army. Yeah, right. There was no commercial flights, right?
No, not really. No.
So, looking up in the sky. Whereas most people, you could dismiss something as a plane, or you'll see something moving in the sky and you wouldn't entertain it. Now you're looking up at a clear sky with no interruptions, no planes, no contaminants, no chemtrails or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, so you can see
or jet plumes.
Yeah, like 9/11, when 9/11 happened and they stopped all the planes, that's how they got to learn about global dimming and global warming.
Right, so there was that period where there was no contaminants in the air, or little, compared to what not traffic dust and all the rest of it that you get, it just kicked up into the environment.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing more things.
Glad.
So
it might open some people's eyes as well
and plus everyone was sat at home looking up in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Going, I'm bored. I've had another beer. I'm just sat here,
in the garden on my own.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh, is that the thing?
So I mean, so that's Canada, but the Pentagon have obviously also been confirming a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They're confirming now that the leaked videos of UFOs that have been
coming out over the last couple of weeks.
Well, specifically the ones by Navy pilots back in 2019.
Yeah.
Well, the Pentagon have now confirmed that those leaked footage of UFO-like objects were indeed real. The videos and photos captured by Navy pilots in 2019 will be examined by the Defense Department and Aerial Phenomenal Task Force.
Yes, and they actually said as well, they've denied one lot of photos that come out as well on a USO, which was a naval ship took a picture of UFO basically going into the water.
Right, okay. Well,
they denied that.
Nova Scotia's Alaska, isn't it? So like Alaska's had the same sightings of UFOs in Nova Scotia have took off.
You know what? Alaska's
big time in 2020.
Alaska's one of them places where there's a lot of strange things that go on, and it's
is Nova Scotia still Canada, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's say As of now,
so
it is.
There's been quite a surge. So
we've changed the map.
So, where do you think the new hotspot in the UK is at the minute?
Manchester's pretty hot. London's always pretty hot. Scotland a little bit. So I don't know. I'd say probably Wales.
Well, have you ever heard of Bonnie Bridge?
Bonnie Bridge? Oh, aye.
Bonnie Bridge. It's a small Scotch town.
Yeah.
Heart of Scotland. I don't know. Is that heart of Scotland? It's one of the top UFO sighting spots in the UK.
Mint. Another Florida Keys.
It's in Falkirk.
Yeah.
In Scotland. It's been named by the History Channel as one of the top
places.
UFO attractions and tourist spots. across the country. I've never been.
Do you know, it's kind of funny because it reminds me like this. There was in Florida, there was a place called Gulf Breeze where there was a massive hotspot. Basically, every night you could go out and you could see this UFO doing whatever it wanted to do. And then it sort of like moves in and grows. So it seems like in the area, it seems like there's more and more activity going on. But now
Bonnie Bridge looks nice, actually. I mean, it looks quite picturesque. There's a good view.
Yeah.
It's said to have had, on average, around 300 UFO sightings a year.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's only a small town.
Yeah.
It's had less than 10,000 residents.
What's going on there then? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's all right then. Yeah.
Activity.
So it's having 300 sightings a year, but it's got a small population. There's only 10,000 people who live there, right? So I'd say that's quite a lot of people seeing UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
Sightings include balls of light. Some people think they've seen actual spaceships,
Right.
as well.
Well, there's actually one famous one for Scotland. Nick Pope, he had one. He worked for the Defence Department. He was the guy who dealt with the X-Files, and he had actually a poster like Mulder had one, but he's the one that in Scotland, and his actual boss actually come in and tore it down. Said you can't have that.
Right.
And it's like, why not? It's like, you can't. Basically,
Just
because
can't.
you've got proof and evidence. It was one of the biggest evident cases.
Well, going back to Bonnie Bridge, there's actually a couple of guys here who, Malcolm, who's a local councillor, and Bill Butchnan, they've hit the headlines because they've gone back there. I think original local boys to the area. They've gone back to investigate into the sightings.
Good lads.
So I think they've took on the mystery. They claim to be paranormal experts, and they've returned to Scotland in a bid to shed fresh light on the decades of UFO.
That's good. That's
reports.
Yeah.
So,
Like
is it Malcolm Robinson of Strange Paranormal Investigations?
Hey.
So he lived in the south of the border in England for 23 years, but then now he's returning to check it out.
Wicked, yeah.
So there you go. Check
Great
it out.
work.
I think that what's that on? Strange Phenomena Investigates. Definitely worth a look into. I love a bit of Strange Phenomena.
Oh yeah.
Well, SpaceX has just launched another 4 people. He's making it pretty crowded up there on the space station. I don't think it's been that crowded. I think there's 11 of them up there at the moment.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
11 people all packed into that little tin of sardines.
4 of them were really, really lucky.
Yeah, so it was the Crew 2 mission.
Yeah.
Which is the third, which is confusing. Should be
I know,
Crew 3.
you would.
Third in to carry people to the International Space Station. Well, no, because it would have been It was Crew Dragon, wasn't it? And then Crew 2 and Crew 1. Crew 1 and Crew 2.
Yeah, it'd be Crew Dragon, then Crew 1, Crew... Yeah.
Well, it's like I say, it's like everything went without a hitch.
Nearly.
Oh, did it not?
Yeah, because in the capsule, after they had a long day trying to get to the station, they was putting themselves to bed, and they nearly got hit by a bit of junk. They was so close, all the alerts went off. They knew about it 20 minutes before it come whizzing past them. But yeah, that was a close.
Yeah, so
close
it was,
so at least the gizmos are working on there.
So they took off on Friday, the 23rd, at 5:49 a.m. Eastern Time. The SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule, led by the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Pretty smooth countdown. Everything was pretty cool. Yeah, enjoyable for all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love these NASA feeds. I think we might have to do some like commentaries as we watch.
I agree.
Well,
we were going to do it for the helicopter, weren't we? But the times and
we missed it.
Yeah, because it had a massive delay. It ended up being about
went really well
delay.
though. Successful flight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We might do it for another one of their flights.
Definitely, around. I think. But yeah. At the moment, there's 11 all populating the space station
nice
at the
and
moment.
cozy.
So obviously that's the third capsule in less than a year.
Yeah.
Biggest crowd up there for a decade.
It's going to stink up there as well.
Oh, they're all drinking
Yeah.
recycled wee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
going to
make,
the one
it's gonna
blocking the
make
toilet.
it fruity, that a bit tangy.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit sweaty in there and all that as well.
Well, any more news you want to talk about before we call it a day? Well, that's it. He's shaking his head.
No, yeah.
Oh, it must be it.
I'm done,
Must be
mate.
the end of the show.
It is.
Well, God, where are my notes?
Oh, naughty.
So, thanks to everybody who's made it to the end of the show. Thank you to Sam,
Yeah.
the Miracle Man, for joining us.
Yeah. Great interview, man.
Thanks to Ross Cookie for his amazing artwork, which is available on our merch right now. And our promo, The Movie Seller with Chris, George and Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you to all our Patreons. Who,
Yes.
thank you to our small group of Patreons.
Yeah. We're
who,
trying to grow
who
it
help
out.
us to try and get, bit more
Get a little bit more out
out
to
there.
use.
And Taylor wants to come out to you.
I'm an alien.
He's a lizard.
No, I'm not going that far.
So, thank you to our Patreons, Jay, Swoosh.
Yeah.
Thank you to Keith.
Yes. Thanks, Keith.
And if you want to support us and help us out, keep the lights on here at the bunker, you can go over to patreon.com/neverastraightanswer. You can go to Buy Me a Coffee.
You can.
Buy Me a Coffee.
I need a coffee.
/NASA Pod.
Late nights, man.
You can donate over PayPal by visiting the website.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can just buy some sexy merch.
Oh, yeah, we
from
got
our
some
shops.
sexy stuff.
It's all good. All helps us out. And like Taylor said earlier, I mean, just subscribing, commenting.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Just getting involved with the show.
Yeah.
It just means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And we
you
know
what I
we're
mean?
talking to someone out there and not just
ourselves. Yeah. So, like I say, get in touch if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions. You can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at NASA_never and on Instagram at neverastraightanswer. We're available on all podcast platforms. Well, wherever you get your podcasts, you make sure you subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
So you never miss upcoming guests and cool episode ideas and topics.
Yeah.
That's it.
It is. It's another long night in the bunker.
That's it. Keep the home fires burning.
Yeah.
We'll catch you next time.
We will.
I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
Peace.
Tess.